Welcome back to the Teacher's AI Cafe. I'm Kane, a teacher and a parent who wants AI to give us back our time. I share practical classroom-tested AI strategies to cut down your workload, improve your feedback and reduce stress so you can get your evenings back and be more present with your friends and family. No jargon, just actionable steps. Grab your mug. Now let's get going. Welcome back to this week's AI update for educators. So what's happened in this last very exciting week? I guess the biggest story of the last week is not a non-shiny chatbot feature. It's about a warning about what happens when AI systems stop simply answering questions and start acting independently. And I guess this will probably come under our interesting story of the week as well. So Reuters, get that right, Reuters reports that an autonomous AI cybersecurity agent escaped its controlled testing environment access systems belonging to Hugging Face, one of the world's largest AI development platforms. Hugging Face, if you do that, they do a lot of video production amongst other things that you can sign up for. See their ads everywhere. And you see them on all the YouTubers, they get a Hugging Face account to make all your videos and everything in Claude, for example. Apparently, so the agent reportedly used 5.6 Sol from OpenAI, another unreleased OpenAI model. Continued operating for several days, attempted to interfere with monitoring access to information it was not authorized to do. Perhaps the most concerning detail is OpenAI reportedly did not realize its own agent was responsible until almost a week later. So basically what it did is they said that they're doing their security test and it actually left their test environment out on the internet and attacked this completely independent website for them. Obviously, they have relationships and links between them. And this was not part of the programming. And obviously, the news report so far, it's been very well documented, reporting a lot of different sources. They haven't really outlined what they were trying to do, but what we do actually know is that it went outside its control environment to actually what it believed it needed to do to complete the task. I guess probably concerning detail of this is simply the fact that they didn't actually know what was happening until it was actually happening. So let's get back to more of an education-related aspect of it. So the main story for schools is AI agents are beginning to appear in the same tools teachers use every day. ChatGPT Work can operate across files and connected applications. Claude Cowork continue working in the cloud. Grok can run scheduled automations. These systems are no longer waiting for that one prompt. And listen to my episode last week when I talked about as you go up the levels, you start to use agents to automate tasks. And these are becoming standard in the tools that we're actually using. So this is the difference when AI, we use the draft an email to give you access to your entire inbox. It'll write all the writing tasks for you. I do recommend you do as write only, not to actually send it. So the idea is to get all the permissions access to machines, can write your emails, and then you can come in and review it and agree with what's actually been responded to that. The OpenAI incident is an extreme example of cybersecurity. This applies to schools in a big way. An agent should only receive access it generally needs. Obviously, AI agents have the capability of overriding existing cybersecurity infrastructure and tools, hence why in previous episodes I've talked about how they've been releasing early advanced copies of these AI models to certain companies so they can test their security against them. OpenAI also released another feature this week, as I said, ChatGPT Work. And it's redesigned the desktop application, as announced earlier. The old ChatGPT application now is being replaced. And when you come into it now, you get a choice of ChatGPT or you can launch Codex within the one app. A nice, interesting feature in Codex is I can't actually delete chats, whereas I can do that, or I can't seem to delete chats in a lot of things within ChatGPT at the moment. And I did query that, I got to follow that up. I can archive them, but sometimes you just want to delete things, don't you? If it's not important. So I'm actually enjoying the new Codex environment on the desktop. It's better than the old system to develop some tools. In terms of Gemini, obviously there's no new model. I've already talked about Notebook LM video that's been coming out. The main Google development is the continuing transition of Notebook LM to Gemini Notebook. The rollout is still important because eligible notebooks can now use a secure cloud computer running code and perform deeper analysis. So that's very good for some teachers. This means the Gemini notebook no longer limited to sources turning into podcasts and videos, becoming an analysis tool for us based on that. I've already talked about the videos. I've been playing a bit with the videos. I've actually released a YouTube channel called Banging History Videos, and I've been using Notebook LM to actually create little short videos on different history things and skills. Let's see whether it's useful in my history classroom. They look fairly good. I've just gone back and tweaked the prompt on the last 2 episodes that I just put up. One today, one's coming out tomorrow. So I'm playing with that, trying to get to a really good format on that. And the other thing I'm trying to do is, apparently Claude's at a bit of an update. We can start building video directly within that, without having to deal with third-party applications and paying out money. The free deep research tool inside Copilot will be retired as on the 18th of August, so that's next month. People who want to create new detailed research will need to use Microsoft 365 Premium and its researcher tool there. Existing reports will remain available, but still a reminder that free AI features will not stay free. It's like that freemium type model that we got at the moment that we've had with other tools. You get so much free, and if you want more features, you've got to pay for it. AI seems to be moving in that direction. So we might get used to these particular tools and then they have to pay for them. And obviously that's where they actually get you. And hence why people jump around to different platforms. Though I do know a lot of educational institutions and or departments are looking at funding their own versions of it. Grok was the busiest product week. So SpaceX AI has launched Grok inside Microsoft Excel. Users can ask questions, data, create formulas, and so on. Grok can also look inside Outlook. You can add in and summarize email threads and so on. For teachers and school leaders, those features could be generally useful if you happen to use Grok. Now, Grok did release a big update, I think what they call it 4.5. They're claiming that it'll do as good as other models, but do it twice as fast. So time will tell, though Grok is such a tiny, small part of the market that it's not really part of our main conversation in terms of educational institutions. Grok Build also introduces workflows similar to other tools where a user can give Grok one large technical project and divide the job in hundreds of parallel AI agents working in the background, hence the faster speed. It sounds impressive, but introduces another challenge. The final product may appear polished, but the hiding of hundreds of small decisions made by systems the user can never directly observe might end up with the best outcome that you actually want. And what other news? That robot, that $57,000 robot that I mentioned last week, it's still getting mentioned around the place. The other thing I will also mention is the discussion around the Chinese model, and obviously one called, I think it's from Moonshot, called Kimmy's been released. It is, in certain benchmarks, it's close to Claude and OpenAI. In others, it's not. So when we read this news around the fact that these Chinese models are performing much cheaper compared to, say, the US models, in this case, it's not always black and white as that. So it really depends on the benchmarking models. It's like the old comparison of computers. Some computers were faster than others, even though on paper they appear the same. The way they were designed underneath actually resulted in different outcomes. And in terms of educational sphere, no one's, I guess in the short term, no one's going to use these Chinese models or get permissions from their boards to actually do that, or departments to do that. But it's also be aware, because they're offering so cheap, they talk about in the US market about 30% of commercial users actually are using Chinese models. They also have one extra advantage, is a lot of them is open source. So you can actually download the whole lot and run it locally on your local machine and not actually have it online. You could even take it offline to a certain degree and run in a self-contained environment, so you're not sharing any of your personal data information. Though you do need a fairly beefy machine depending on the complexity of the models you're actually trying to run. Anyway, that's the tech update for this week. I hope you found it useful. I'll be back on Wednesday for my normal long-form episode. Till then, take care. Got any questions? Drop me an email. Thank you.